Shakespeare's Poems, Part 1. It is generally asserted that if Shakespeare had written no plays, his poems alone would have given him a commanding place in the Elizabethan age. Nevertheless, in the various histories of our literature, there is apparent a desire to praise and pass over all but the sonnets as rapidly as possible, and the reason may be stated frankly. His two long poems, Venus and Adonis and The Rape of Lucrece, contains much poetic fancy, but it must be said of both that the subjects are unpleasant and that they are dragged out to unnecessary length in order to show the play of youthful imagination. They were extremely popular in Shakespeare's day, but in comparison with his great dramatic works, these poems are now of minor importance. Shakespeare's Poems, Part 2. Shakespeare's sonnets, 154 in number, are the only direct expression of the poet's own feelings that we possess, for his plays are the most impersonal in all literature. They were published together in 1609, but if they had any unity in Shakespeare's mind, their plan and purpose are hard to discover. By some critics, they are regarded as mere literary exercises, by others as the expression of some personal grief during the third period of the poet's literary career. Still others, taking a hint from the sonnet beginning two loves I have, of comfort and desire, divide them all into two classes addressed to a man who was Shakespeare's friend and to a woman who disdained his love. Shakespeare's Poems, Part 3. The reader will avoid such classifications and read a few sonnets, like the 29th, for instance, and let them speak their own message. A few are trivial and artificial enough, suggesting the elaborate exercises of a piano player, but the majority are remarkable for their subtle thought and exquisite expression.